to Michel for having me today. And so when he asked me to give a talk, a closing talk for this day, I asked him, okay, what do you want me to talk about? Because usually companies, people, they ask me to talk about predictive hiring, data and everything. And he told me, he asked me to reflect on the 23 years I had at AssessFirst and to try to sum it up in a 30 minutes meeting. So I don't know if I did a good job because I have 175 slides, but I promise you, normally it should be okay for the 30 minutes. So I hope nobody is epileptic. And so let's start. So we talk a lot about the human revolution, right? And we're going to see that maybe it's not exactly what we think. Because I don't know you, but when I look at my LinkedIn feed, and probably on yours it's the same stuff everywhere. We're talking about AI, LLMs, data, dashboard. AI will change absolutely everything. But the fact is that for most people and in most companies, we treat AI as a pure technological revolution. What it means, most of the time we don't use AI to understand people, but more we're going to see to control them, to track them, to squeeze them, to rational decisions that have already been made. And we end up doing quite stupid thing, in my opinion. Like we measure what people do, but we know nothing about who they really are. Let's take a look at what we're tracking. In all companies, we track what? We track clicks, calls, conversion rates, meeting, tickets, time online, and we have absolutely no clue about who people really are. I'm not talking about like their social security numbers or their ID in the HRIS. No, who they are as humans. You know, what are the natural talent, what they are passionate about, what really drives them, where their real potential is, or how close they are to checking out mentally. Really? For example, we know exactly the number of leads which entered the marketing funnel yesterday. We know that number. But we know nothing about the fact that maybe that person working in our team for 7 years now, she's going to leave maybe in just 4 months, 6 months, and we cannot predict it. So basically, my belief is that we turn people into KPI with the LinkedIn profile. And the weird question I would like to ask you is, what if the real return on investment of data wasn't just more efficiency, but was more human potential? I mean, it's not about squeezing 2, 3, 4, 5 more percent of our person more out of our conversion, for example, for marketing, for sales, for whatever. It's about unlocking 30, 40, maybe 50% more capacity out of the people we spend our time with when we are within the company. And this is basically what I was obsessed literally about during the past 23 last years. So who am I? So this is a better picture of me made with AI. But who is David? Maybe you already read the PR safe stuff on the marketing email that was sent to you by the wonderful team of Michel. But okay, let's dig into that. First, I'm a psychologist. I'm a psychologist and I'm a passionate psychologist. I've always been passionate about all types of psychology, like developmental psychology, cognitive psychology, like social psychology, like industrial psychology, everything. I read everything, maybe not everything, but a lot of stuff about psychology. But at one point, I was like kind of bored with all of that. I was, okay, that's good, that's interesting, like the theory intellectually and everything, but I really wanted to stress test those theory in the real world. I'm also an entrepreneur. So for as long as I can remember, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Maybe it can sound bizarre, crazy, but you know, kids, normally when you ask them, okay, what do you want to do when you grow up? They ask you, I want to be a Formula 1 racer, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a president or whatever. Me, I really wanted to become an entrepreneur. Maybe because I come from a family where my father was an entrepreneur, but not necessarily, the super successful entrepreneur, like the real one, like he creates a company crash, then he has a problem with his partners, then he starts another company, then another problem. And I'm very grateful of that because he gave me a very, very realistic view of what starting a company and this journey as an entrepreneur is. And I'm really, really passionate about going from 0 to 1, creating things. I always wanted to create something, like to take an idea out of my head and to put it in the reality. So I like to build systems that never sleeps, basically. And I'm also a human obsessed with one question. It's why the hell people do what they do? Look, it's crazy. But when you look around you everywhere, like it can be the street. Yesterday I was on the plane. I was like going from Lisbon to Switzerland. I thought Swiss people were well educated. What this person is doing? And sometimes it can be in your family. Sometimes it can be in in a meeting room in the company. Sometimes people can have strange behaviors. Sometimes it's very exciting. Sometimes whatever. And the other question is that if we can understand how people work, maybe we can predict their behavior. The reason why I wanted to become a psychologist. Lots of my friends, when I entered the university, they all had the same idea. Like, I want to become a psychologist because I love people and I want to help them. I don't love people, I hate them. No, that's not true. I don't hate people. I love them too. But, for most people, psychology, it's all about you have one person broken in one way or another. It can be mentally, emotionally, whatever. They are broken, and we're going to, as a psychologist, we're going to talk with them, and at one point, they're going to go better. Or at least we hope that. And if not, we feed them with drugs. For me, no, I was not interested by that. For me, psychology was more a way to decode how that incredible machine works. Like the incredible machine, I'm talking about the human. I'm talking about the brain of people, their emotion, their feeling, all that stuff. And here is an example of question I really wanted to answer. Like, for example, why some people thrive in chaos and others melt. Sometimes you have a crisis in the company, and you can see it act as a revelator of people. Some people have great courage, they do amazing things. Others, maybe they're going to put a knife in the back or stab the person in the back or whatever. Voilà. Why some people are brilliant in one job, they are very happy, very successful. You just put them in another job, or sometimes the same job, but just in another company with a different culture, and they're miserable. They are not so successful anymore. Or sometimes you have people, they look absolutely perfect on paper, perfect resume, perfect track record, perfect everything, and when they enter the company, they take the job, they're a mess. They're a massive disaster. Why does it happen? And once again, if we can understand that, maybe we can predict it. This is another good one. Normally, when you're a psychologist, you start your career, it can be in an hospital, a clinic, or in a company as a recruiter most of the time. And for me, it all started with online dating. Let's go back in time. Early 2000. So the company was already created. And we didn't start as a software company. We were doing lots of consultancy. We had a software to assess people, but we were not really selling it. We were using it in order to assess a candidate for certain clients and everything. And at one point, we were close to bankruptcy. Very close, like 136 euro away. So that's what you can call very close. And I remember, because I was not in the numbers, finance and everything. I always found that boring. Now I found an interest in that, but I found that boring back in those days. And I perfectly remember the conversation I had with my co-founder, Alexi. He was, okay, David, we need to talk. Wow. I didn't know what he wanted to tell me, but when somebody starts to go like that, it can be your girlfriend, it can be your partner, it's never a good sign. I said, yes, what? we don't have any more money on the bank account. And look, we've been working for years now, maybe, I don't know, it was 3, 4, 5 years. And we need to have side jobs in order to pay for our food and everything, to pay for our home, our apartment. It's not sustainable. We need to stop at one point. You need to see the reality, to face it. We need to close the company. And I remember I told him, okay, I don't think so, because I don't know why, but for me it was never a problem. I was always 100% sure that company was going to be a success at one point or another. So for me it was more like, let's continue, and if we continue long enough, we will end up succeeding. And but I told him, because he looked very concerned, so I told him, look, if we have to fail, we're going to fail with no regret. So we got to double down on our effort for, I don't know, maybe 3 months, like calling more and everything. He told me, look, you are a psychologist, I'm a developer, we are no salespeople, nobody knows how to sell. But he agreed on that. And believe me or not, but 3 days later, after we had this conversation, the telephone rang. I was, okay, what's that? Hello? And yes, it's Cécile Moulard, International Marketing Director of Mythic. I was, okay, what do you want? And I saw that we saw the articles you wrote about psychology, personality. We love your style. It's very interesting. Blah blah blah. I went, and by the way, we are creating a new solution. We want to create a new service, an online service, but not for casual like dating, blah blah blah. No, it's really for people to find love, and we want it to be based on psychological affinity. I was, wow, interesting. That's exactly what we do. And we are launching a request for offer and RFP, request for proposal, and we would like you to participate. Do you want to participate? Let me think. And I was, we're going to die in 2 weeks, so of course I want to participate. Well, and fast forward, 3 weeks later, we received another call from Marc Simoncini, this time the CEO, and he told us, yeah, you've been selected for this project. So great relief for us. I don't know, it was like 300,000, something like that. For us, it was like a seed investment in a way, but without diluting the capital. And we started working for a few months on the creation, the development of one of the biggest service, online dating, based on psychological affinity. So basically, during my 20s, I used science and data to help people fall in love. And that's so cool, right? I love that. So we asked questions, we measured traits, personality, value, everything like sexual compatibility, how parenting style, and blah, blah, blah. We looked at patterns, and the question we wanted to ask was this one. If you're wired like this and the other person is wired like that, what's the probability something actually works between you two? And I remember, so we launched it, we had lots of data. I looked at the data, I was, what the hell? That's so powerful. The thing you can predict. And we always say, love, it's like a human, or love, it's beautiful, more beautiful than everything. We cannot put love into equation, right? I can tell you today, yes, we can do that. We can put love into equation. So when you model traits of people, it can really steer people's lives. You can answer those questions. Who meets who? Who falls in love? Who builds a family? And once again, I was so delighted. That's insane. It was like, something life, eye-opener. And when you see it, you cannot not see it. But at the same time, I was a little bit scared. I was, wow, that's insane. What if those data, all those data, they were arriving into the wrong hands? Things could really go wrong, right? And then when I realized that prediction, it's really power. And we say sometimes with great power comes great responsibility. In Spider-Man, I think they say that. But that's true. We have to handle that power with care. And for me, if I had to find an image, I would say that prediction is really like fire. With fire, you can warn people, or you can burn them, which is terrible. Because it's very tempting. It can be very tempting once you have so many data on people and really on the core of who they are. Maybe to simplify them, to reduce them to scores, and even to stop thinking like you are, okay, this score to that person, algorithm, bam, 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 percentage of matching, okay, let's take automatic decisions. But I had zero interest in turning people into better statistics. And at the same time, I remember I was beginning to look at another arena where prediction was, for me, literally a joke. And it was just the workplace, simply. Do you know? You know that because I think you all work like crazy. We spend most of our time working. How many hours in one life? Best guess. How many hours we're going to spend working?
40 times 52 times 44.
Exactly, equals 80,000 hours. 80,000 hours, 80,000 hours, that's crazy. It is more than half of our time awake. Think about that just 1 second. It means in your life, you're going to spend more time with your boss, your manager, your colleagues, your clients, your partner than with the one, like your husband, your wife, your kids, your family, your friends. So you better have a good time in your job, right? And I also remember another statistic when I was creating AssessFirst, it was 91% of people are not really fulfilled and engaged in their job. I was, what the hell? 9 people out of 10. And honestly, it's also one of the reasons I wanted to create something like AssessFirst. It's not going to happen to me, never again. So, and now let's take a look at how most companies match people with jobs. They do it the old way, like, let's take a look at the CV, school name, past job title, the traditional interview, recruitment process based on 1-2 interview, full of bias, full of cognitive bias. There are more than 180 cognitive bias that affect the way in which we think, we grasp our information, we analyze them, we make our decision, and we really think that by spending 45 minutes in a room with somebody, we're going to have an accurate assessment of their capacity. Wow, damn. Or it can be a manager good feeling. And at one point we are surprised, a mishire happened, people burn out, people quietly quit, high potential leaves after just being only 18 months in our company. I don't know where it's coming from. We shouldn't be shocked about that situation. We designed it that way. And so when I was at Mythic, the question I wanted to answer was, who has a chance to be compatible with whom? And at AssessFirst, it was more, who has a chance to thrive in this role, with this team, in the very specific context of our company culture, of this company culture. So, of course, it's not based on what they did, but based on who people really, really are. Far beyond their past experiences, far beyond pedigree, like, I don't know, the schools or, all those stuff. That's how I created AssessFirst. And so it was based on a single ID. It's more an equation. I love equation. So it's what I call the equation of success. If you reduce everything, every factor, do you know what we need as a company, what a company needs in order to be successful? There are 3 key factors. The first one is a powerful, strong, bold vision. My belief is that behind every successful company, you have an entrepreneur, a woman or a man, who's looking at the reality, the world, and at one point says, fuck no, I don't like this part. It shouldn't work like that. It should not work like that. So this problem, I consider it's problematic enough, so I'm going to spend most of my time, most of my energy, and most of my money in order to change the world. I want to make a significant change in this part of the world. But well, it's cool to have a vision, but even crazy people have vision sometimes, you know? So yeah, the vision should be, compelling enough to attract other people, like your future employee, but also the market and the clients. You need something else. Let's be realistic. Money, it's like oxygen. If you don't have any money, you cannot do anything. But there are tons of companies who have a bold vision, money, and they cannot execute. Why? Because there is a multiplicative factors, which is people. And this is exactly what we focus on at AssessFirst. Of course, we cannot predict everything. For example, we cannot predict the value of a human, you know, the worth of a human. We cannot predict a full 30 years career, which job that person is going to have in 5 years and in 10 years and in 15 years. There are lots of other things we cannot predict, like a random life event, crisis, miracles. Sometimes you can have revelations in the life of people that change the course of their life. But there are lots of things also we can actually predict, and they are very important. In which context somebody is going to perform or fail, how people are likely to collaborate, to lead, or what might drive them to disengage or leave, and when. That's exactly what we did at AssessFirst. Like we gather all information about people, their personalities, their values, their cognitive abilities, their hard skills, even their languages. And we also added something we saw when we worked at Meeting. Yeah, you can do that?
No.
See.
In the company, right?
But of course, it's not exactly the same factor, but to be honest, the factors that predict affinity in romantic life and in the company, it's not very far away from each other. Yeah, 30% of the people, a couple form, yeah. So, of course, those data we deliver at AssessFirst, they do not tell you everything about people as human, but it tells you a lot of information on how you can set them up for success or failure. So if I had one advice to give everyone in this room, but that's something I preach to all the people I meet, to all my clients, it's stop hiring the past, start hiring the future. Because most companies, they still hire for the past. They hire on what I call lagging indicators. We show them like the CV, past experience, pedigree. What does it mean in this world? So we live in a new world now. Like, let's take a look at that. In 17 days, we will celebrate the third anniversary of ChatGPT, of the launch of ChatGPT on the 30th of November. It changed everything. I can see in my company, for example, people that don't work the same way they were working like 4 years ago. Nobody can imagine going back to that old time like pre-AI. So before we were focusing on, okay, what did that person do? And now to succeed in this world, it's more about how fast you can grow, how fast you can acquire new skills, new competencies, how fast you can adapt, how resilient are you. So basically it's switching from what's on their CV to what is their true potential. And when you do that, suddenly performance jumps, diversity becomes real, not like the shiny stuff we put in the annual report, you know, turnover drops. And people nobody was seeing before, suddenly they become one of your most top performers. And I help my client to do that. But it's a whole other thing to do it inside your own company, you know. As we say in French, les conseillers sont pas les payeurs. And so we did it at AssessFirst. We went all in on that. And today AssessFirst, it's a 100% remote company. No HQ, no building, no shiny office, no badge, not those stuff, just 105 or 6 people living in different cities, different countries with different culture. We have people living in Paris, people living in Belgium, people living in, this is Italy, Spain, Portugal for me, in the UK, in the US, in Brazil, and even in Indonesia. The guy, a financial controller, is 9 months per year in a little island in Indonesia. But we are not a bunch of, like freelancers with a Slack channel. No, it's not that. We are a real company with real targets, real pressure, real expectations, and we deliver. We reached 18 million in terms of ARR. We booked 42 million in terms of total contract value. We are 20% year-on-year growth for a few years now, and very high profitability. And there is no manager, never, who look at behind people's shoulders to say, are you working? We don't manage people on, are you green on Slack? Even if Geoffrey, when I did the screenshot yesterday, I saw you were not active on Slack. But we'll have a conversation about that later. Now, you see, and really, I was talking about it with Michel, and I was saying to him, look, I don't care if people, they go to a yoga class at 10 o'clock in the morning, or if they go to make their groceries at 3. As long as the job is done, that's okay. So how did we achieve that? That's 3 pillars that make it work. So the first one is clarity, second, data, third, psychology. What do I mean? Clarity, everything is clear at AssessFirst. We all have clear goals, clear roles, and clear responsibility. Everybody knows exactly what we expect from them. And nobody has to imagine, okay, what is expected by my manager? No. Everything is clearly defined. We have data. Of course, we track performance. Everybody can know almost in real time for certain roles where they're at regarding the performance. But we also track engagement, climate, alignment, and psychology, third pillar, super important. We know everything about our people. And when I say everything, it's their psychology, how they think, what motivates them, by what they are passionate about, what are their natural talents. Some people sometimes, they tell me, you know me better than my mother. Of course, she calls me for advices sometimes. So when you bring together clarity, data, and psychology, really, believe me, but no, I'm not joking, it's really when magic happens, where magic can happen. But, okay, it's a good story, but was it easy? Of course it was not easy. And I've been slapped in the face more than lots of people, I think. Even by my own employees sometimes, I would say. So what are my learnings? First, you cannot control everything. Shit are going to happen at one point or another in the management of the company, in the course of your big mission. Sometimes you have people, they're going to leave because they want to change their life, they want to start their own company. Lots of things can happen. And we need to get rid of this need of control. This one is very good. If you don't trust people, remote will break you. I think one of my core beliefs is people they will always make you right. I mean, if you think that people are going to cheat me, they're not going to work and blah, 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 you're going to start like tracking them, like what are you doing? You call them at 9 in the morning, are you behind your desk? And all those kind of stuff. So they will feel trapped and they cannot breathe like that. And what do you do when you cannot? Your reflex is to try to find more freedom. And in those cases, people, they can find strange ways to gain their freedom back. Sometimes the sabotaging a project or having bad influence. And at the same time, if you trust people, but trust by default. For me, trust does not have to be earned. You have to give it first. Yeah, it's frightening, first time. It's super frightening. But when you do that, most of the time, I would say 98% of the time, people, they are reliable, they do the job, and sometimes they overperform. And no, I'm not going to punish 100% of the people, because 2% of the people take advantage of certain things. Your processes are weaker than human nature. You can try to force people to enter into your process and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work. So the best thing, in my opinion, is to really recruit people whose natural talents are going to be an asset they can use to do their job. For example, if somebody wakes up every morning, they want to go in that direction, and you ask them to go in that direction, you can put an arrow, you can push them back, but it's not going to work. And third one, fourth one, top talent don't want to be watched, they want to be seen. They really, that's a big difference. And how do we do that? Just by treating them like humans, having honest conversation regularly, and having the courage to say sometimes, to have those conversations. So it's not about having a ping pong table, even if we have a good one here, I saw. But sorry, I did the slide before I knew. And once again, people quit when no one really sees them, when no one also invests in who they could become. Because there are always different versions of ourselves. We have who we were, who we are, and the person we could become. And the only way to see that is to look at what makes the singularity of all of you people. And it's not only about their skills. Once again, it's about who they are, their personalities, their passions, their cognitive abilities, and blah, blah, blah. And also, they live when they are treated like resources. You said that, but resources, human resources, what an horrible, terrific word. That's terrible. And with everything we can have, all the knowledge we have concerning psychology, all the data we can retrieve, I think we have no excuse to keep leading people with a 1995 mindset. So to finish, 4 mindset shifts. I'm going to be quick. For more data-driven, human-centric leadership. And I think really, it's something important for every company who wants to be successful in the future. First, stop guessing and start measuring. So most companies we saw, they based their recruitment or their internal mobility decision on information we can find on a CV, on a resume. But I don't know if you knew that, but all those info you can find in a CV, they can predict between 3 and 5% of the differences you can observe between the top performers and the average performer in a company, 3 to 5%. When you take a look at the skills of people, hard skills, but mostly soft skills, including cognitive ability, so the speed of their thoughts, and you can predict up to 60%. So we cannot predict everything, of course, but it's a big difference, right? Second shift we need to do, don't just hire stars, grow them. Lots of companies are obsessed with what I call ready-made stars. People with a great track record. I want you to recruit somebody, take a look at the competitor people, and we take them like cut and paste, and we put that person in our company. But when you do that, what you end up doing is like you pay a premium for somebody else's culture fit. So once again, it doesn't make sense. We should be obsessed about hiring for learning agility, because now a skill, sometimes we talk about the obsolescence of competencies. And in 1983, one skill, you could use it during 30 years. So you learn one skill, you use it your whole life. Now it's 3 years. What it means, people, us, but also the people who recruit, they will have to learn 10 times more than we had to do in 1983. Give up control, replace it with structured trust. What do you get when you base your management on control? People, they comply, minimal effort, and you have people who look good, who try to look good more than to do good, which is absolutely terrible. Structured trust, you can bring it in the company by setting clear expectation, transparent data at all levels, and regular, honest conversation. Honestly, for me, this one is an obsession. Geoffrey could testify about that. I talk about that in all of our team building. Every time I have a talk and blah, blah. For me, the feedback, like the gift of feedback. As manager, as leader, we need to have the courage to give honest, brutal feedback to each and every one of our employees, and they have to accept it as a gift. And it goes both ways. So yeah, you're not the police. So I always tell, when people tell me, but I'm not sure. You're not the police guy. Look, if you have to do the police in your own company, maybe you hired the bad people in the first place. You have to think about that. So you should be obsessed by designing a game people can win at. And fourth, people are not resources, they are multipliers. Because resources, you use it, then you throw it away. And when I say it's multipliers, it reminds me of it's a philosopher called Jean-Claude Van Damme. You heard about him? Yeah. Now everybody's making fun of him, but he says sometimes 1 + 1 = 11. What do you say? Yeah, it makes sense. 1 and 1, it's 11. But people are really multiplier. You take somebody like super talented, super driven, you put that person with another super motivated, positive person, they're going to expand, they're going to create amazing things. Sometimes you have 2 people, they create a company, boom. 2 people in one team, they create a project, boom. And you take one negative person, you put them together, it's going to multiply too. But for example, you put them in a team, in a project, performance is going to drop, morale is going to drop, climate is going to be broken. So let's keep that in mind. Last question. We all have the power, we have big power with all those data, all those knowledge. What are you going to do with that? We can use it to push people a little bit harder, to squeeze them a little bit more, to watch them a little bit closer, to optimize them like machine, or we can choose to finally see what they are truly capable of, give chances to people who never had one, and design an environment where humans are going to literally expand. So I will let you on that. Lead people not for what they do today, but for who they can become tomorrow. And I think this is the real human revolution. And now you are leaders, so you have the responsibility now to do whatever you want with that. Thank you very much.